It's Friday, so it's time for our Agile, Not So Agile episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. And I had a thought that's been ringing true in my mind for some time now. And the name of this thought is called An Act of Kindness. It's not too long ago, I was with my daughter, my youngest daughter, and we were talking. And she was telling me, can you imagine how much different the world would be if each person tried to do a random act of kindness for someone they didn't know over the next 30 days? And I thought that was an interesting challenge. So, to create a real experiment with it, I challenged 10 of my classes to do this random act of kindness every day for someone they didn't know for 30 days to see if it made them feel better. And what I asked them to do is to write down how they felt each day when they did it. And if it felt good, if it was something that, rejuvenated them to continue to do it, and to encourage other people to do it. See how many people we could get doing this random act of kindness. And what I can tell you is the results came back pretty amazing. So I just heard from one of the students from the last groups to do it. And it was startling at first because they said it was hard. And I didn't necessarily get or understand why they might have thought it was hard. But when they came back and said that sometimes when you don't know someone, it's hard to go out of your way to do something kind. And, it didn't make me, I don't want to say it made me feel sad, but it raised awareness because I felt like, I never had that problem. If I don't know someone, it makes it easier for me to be kind, right? But it's one of those things where sometimes you don't know how the other person's going to take it. And, are they going to think that you're viewing them as a charity case? Are they going to accept your offering of kindness? How is it all going to play out? And what was really interesting is the group that said they struggled the most at first was the group that was the most fulfilled in the end. So I was trying to piece it all together using some psychology to figure out how this could be or what made this happen so that I could diagnose or help other people try to find happiness. And one of the things that I discovered is that, and this is interesting, in each of my classes, some of those classes were different sizes. When it was a larger class, it almost made it as though the petition that I was making for them to show the act of kindness to people was more difficult to consume than it was for a smaller class. With a smaller class, it was almost as if I was talking to each one of them individually, and they felt some level of accountability towards the task that I was asking them to do. Where with a larger class, that same level of accountability just wasn't there. So the question becomes, and I'm not saying that people just bowed out. What was interesting is I heard back more from smaller classes than I did from larger classes. And what I noticed is that the people who felt like they received more one-on-one attention, the people who had more time dedicated with me where I was being kind to them, were the ones who were early and eager to be kind to others. And it made sense to me, but then when I pieced it all together, I made three key discoveries. So I thought I would tell you these three key discoveries about kindness and about service and about what people feel and about how it works for you. Number one, the majority of the people who don't perform service aren't doing it because they don't want to, or the majority of people who aren't being kind aren't necessarily being mean. They just have never been challenged to be kind before. And even further, many of them don't know what to do or how to be kind without coming across as awkward. So it's one of those things where I think we need to be better at receiving the kindness. So that way, when we give the kindness, it doesn't feel so strange. So it's one of those things where I think the first thing we need to do is we need to be better at expressing gratitude. We need to be better at being a recipient of kindness. We need to be better at understanding that when other people are giving a gift of themselves, a talent, something they're good at, whatever the case may be, that we need to warm up to that gift and that we need to make sure that we're being kind. Number two is that once we understand how to receive kindness, we need to understand that others may still not know how to receive kindness and they might be in a different place. So it's important for us to be kind but not overbearing and kind but not insensitive. And sometimes you don't want to be kind to the point where you're patronizing, but you want to be kind to the point where, well, people feel appreciated. And I think that there's a fine line there because all too often, people who feel like they're being pandered to or catered to, or you're just saying that because it's me, they're not going to have the same level of appreciation for kindness as someone who says, wow, this person's genuinely being kind, right? And three is in order for us to overcome our fear of being nice to others, we need to overcome our fear of being nice. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes we feel like, will we be judged? Or what will other people think if we behave this way? Or how will it come across to others? And we're so worried about our self reputation and our self image that we forget that we're not doing this for ourselves. We're not being kind to lift ourselves up, but we're being kind to elevate others. And I've said it a million times, when you lose yourself in the service of others, that's when you discover who you really are. But for some people, it's just really hard. People struggle with trying to figure out where they are and what they can do and how they can be kind to others. People struggle with, what they should say or how they should go about doing something. And I guess what I'm trying to say is there's kind of two steps to this. The first step is to begin not to care what other people think and understand what appreciation is and show gratitude when people do kindness to you. And then the second step is to be creative in the ways that you express kindness. Because I firmly believe, sincerely believe, that we all have it within us to express kindness and to receive kindness and to be grateful and to express gratitude. But I think that sometimes we get lost in a shuffle of all the things that happen in our busy day-to-day world, and we forget what it's like to do those things. So my challenge to you for this weekend is to find at least one person you can be kind to and do something, someone you don't know, and do a random act of kindness for that person. It doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to cost a nickel, but find a way to do something nice. And I'm going to leave with this thought. As I was leaving today, I discovered that today was National M&M's Day. I know it sounds crazy, but I had an opportunity to go to the gas station, and I had an opportunity to get a free share pack of M&Ms. And I had 2 of the coupons to redeem, so I was able to get 2 of the share pack of M&Ms completely free, no charge. And I was pretty much going to let it go. It's a $5 value. But I mentioned to my wife that I had those coupons. And it was so funny because I saw her face light up and she smiled. And she said, "Do you know that we've been trying to make cookies for the last several weeks? And we wanted to make the type that have M&Ms in them, but we didn't have any M&Ms. And because they're so expensive, I just couldn't bring myself to buy them. So now I had an opportunity to do an act of service by going and getting those share pack of M&Ms and bringing them home so that they would have an opportunity to make their cookies and to do something special." Now that might sound like something so simple to all of you, but in her mind, look at what I did, how far I went out of my way. I spent the gas. I took the time in the rain at night to drive to the gas station, to wait in line, to find the right package, to log in with my credentials, to scan the packs, wait for someone to come and approve the coupon, get it all entered in. I mean, I didn't wind up spending any money, but boy, it took a lot of my time. But at the same time, after I purchased it, I walked away and I had the biggest smile on my face because I knew that I did something that made a difference to someone else. And I think that's the key. When you go through life looking out for others and doing something that makes a difference to others, that's when you realize just how special you can be to someone else and just how much they care about you. And that's the joy of living. That's where you find joy in everything that you do. So my challenge for you is to do something kind for someone you don't know. Find joy. In this case, I knew my wife, but it wasn't necessarily for her. I've done other acts of kindness. But I remember when I was leaving the store, and this is where I was going with the story. There was a gentleman coming in with his daughter, and his daughter was on TikTok Live, walking in the store, doing this little dance step, and he was right behind her, but he stopped and held the door open for me, as if I had my hands full, and I really didn't, but he insisted on holding the door for me, and I said, "Thank you, that was very kind." And it was just one of those things where his daughter almost ran into me, but yet it wasn't by his example. His example was an example of love and kindness. So I think it's important for us, especially in front of our kids, to show those random examples of kindness so that they can learn from those acts of kindness so that they can be better people one day. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I hope you have an incredible weekend. And I look forward to talking to you on Monday. Until then, I encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.